It's Operation Babble with Myke Shrews. It's pop culture, music, movies, TV too. It's time to explore life. It's Operation Babble time.
Insert stupid joke.
All right.
Nailed it.
So funny.
See what? Guys, I'm out of practice.
Well, since you're out of practice,
I have not been trained. I have not been trained from birth, if you will.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Again, if this is your first time, please hit subscribe or like or whatever the fuck you're watching this on. Let you do. John has been gone for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, 3 or 4 now.
Yeah. So how's life been treating you, dude?
Oh, just fucking great. Oh, sorry, F-bomb right off the bat. We can bleep that, right? If you can see the destruct for the visual people, I have a disaster behind me. Aside from the fact that winter got a little stupid up here, so we've been having some pipage issues. I came home to a flooded kitchen the other day.
Yeah.
So so we had to take everything out of our cupboards and move stuff, and we like industrial strength cleaned every inch of our kitchen floor and cabinet area and all that. So as you can see, there's food, and I look like one of those bunker people right now. It's not ideal. But I did get forced to watch some movies, so that at least took my mind off it for a little bit.
we figure if you were coming back, we might as well have something set up for you, man.
Oh, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we all finished Meet the...
I appreciate half of it.
We all finished Meet the Spartans?
No, fuck. I told you I'm not watching that movie. Like, no, shut up.
To be fair, I do feel like I did watch that, just unironically.
And since Tivis is here, I guess, Tivis, how are you doing, man?
You know, flooding in the attic.
Oh, so I'm not the only one. Yay.
See, so you guys have broken homes. I have a broken hand, so we're all a little bit broken here.
Yeah.
Little too much self-love. Is that what happened?
Oh, yeah. Too much.
The classic joke.
I'm back in my dining room because my normal room smells like shit.
Well, at least it could be worse. I guess you could be the one that smells like shit. That could be bad, and it travels with you everywhere.
That would be terrible.
And again, if people haven't seen the WandaVision episode earlier this week, I am in my guest room, which is basically like my junk toy room too. So I threw little things in the background because I can't really put my green screen up right now.
Oh, well, it looks like you got Hulk Hogan behind you, protecting you.
Well, the New World Order, baby, it's coming anyway, so we might as well.
Oh no. Monday night great reset. Yay. Thanks, Vince.
And I got Grogu right here, I guess is his name now, right?
How dare you? It's Baby Yoda.
That's what I keep calling him.
Oh, and Hal Jordan.
Yeah, Hal Jordan. We got a Batman and SpongeBob. There you go. For all the visual people that are watching. And I think I have a blue piece of shit over here. This blue thing. It's like one of those emoji shits that's
It's
just blue.
barely on screen.
It's barely on screen. Here we go.
Got it from Tivis's basement.
There we go.
There's a good chance you might find something.
Ugh.
And so then I threw my Power Ranger blanket over top of this other big mess here because I realized in the other day's video I was just way off to one side. It looked horrible. I was like, fuck.
You were doing visual storytelling, like you were expecting somebody to come in from like stage left.
Right.
Great.
If I was doing a solo video, I would have put up like the posters of the shit that we were talking about right there.
What does that mean? You have no people? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
When you do a solo video?
When I do a solo video? Or no.
I mean, according to Disney. No.
Oh, I did have another fun adventure this week. I don't know if you heard this, John, but some French guy was trying to get my Disney Plus account.
But why has it got to be French?
Because all the language was changed to French.
Fair enough.
So, hasn't this been going on for like 2 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, it happened to me twice. He was watching WandaVision and the musical version of Coco. he, she, I don't know who it was, but
The musical
anyway,
version
I finally
of
kicked
Coco.
them
No,
out.
no. Hold on. Go back for a second.
Well,
What's the
that?
musical version of Coco?
It's like some play,
Like a live
Broadway.
stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Because you said musical, I'm like, the movie is a musical, but you mean a stage,
Yeah.
a live action stage.
I
show.
didn't even know it existed, but it's in my watch list now. So.
I didn't even know that existed either.
Well, look, the Frenchman did you a favor. I guess you're going to be watching Coco.
This
At least
week,
the
I
French do
noticed
something good.
I noticed my Hulu statement was a couple dollars more, and I was getting ads while watching stuff. I'm like, no, I have the ad-free version.
Yeah.
They got in and got the bundle on my Hulu account.
Wow, get wrecked. That's funny.
Okay. That's all right.
Look at that. That's probably the most aggressive thing a French person's ever done.
I mean, they made French fries. You had to cut the potatoes, and
How dare you, freedom fries.
that was so like 10 years ago.
Yeah, they didn't last
fun.
long.
No.
Well, speaking
so
of 10
did we
years
call
ago,
them
making me
freedom
watch
kisses then too? Did they call them freedom kisses instead of French kisses?
They might have tried.
I don't know that joke.
I don't know.
I don't know if
All
it's a joke.
Anyways, everybody, today we are going to be discussing the two films, Tivis, in the 300 film franchise, started by Zack Snyder, and the other one is produced. The second one's produced by Zack Snyder and written by, apparently. He partially wrote it.
He wrote it?
Yeah, he was one of the writers on there, apparently. It popped up at the end in the credits. I saw it right before I turned it off.
Did he write the first one?
I don't know. I know it's an adaptation. They both are an adaptation from the graphic novel.
Well, yeah.
I'm not sure if he had written the first one. So we can look it up.
You set this up.
While you're looking that up, let everybody know to find Operation Babble on patreon.com/operationbabble and find us on Twitter and Facebook. I know the other day I said Instagram. We do not have an Instagram account.
Myke has an Instagram.
Yeah, I have the Instagram. And then you can find the videos right now on the Myke Shrews YouTube channel. And you can also email us if you have any questions or want to come on the show or want us to watch your fan film or your film if you are a filmmaker, just in general. Let us know at operationbabble@outlook.com, and I will get back to you. So
did you pull it up, John? Because I got it.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
He's got it was three of them, I guess, who wrote, which know is always a good sign. Zack Snyder, Kurt Johnstad, and Michael B. Gordon, not Jordan, not Killmonger. So okay,
Kurt has his own Wikipedia page. What else has he done? Oh, Aquaman.
Oh no. Oh goodness.
He was tapped to write one of two competing screenplays.
Well, I mean,
but his wasn't chosen.
Ooh, ouch.
It does make sense because these are Warner Brother movies. So, and watching both of them, I'm like, why don't they just turn this into a TV show? It'd be kind of cool if done right. It'd be kind of cool. So
I got to throw this out here because I'm looking at the writing credits for Rise of an Empire, the pseudo prequel side story, same time story or whatever. Yep. The one person that didn't come back was Michael B. Gordon. So I have a feeling that may have made a difference.
He had an operation and became Michael B. Jordan. In the meantime,
Ooh, is that appropriation? I don't know. And Lynn Varley was one of because it has Frank Miller and Lynn Varley.
Yeah, those are the comic
for the graphic novel. Yeah, for the graphic novels. But Lynn Varley is not part of Rise of 300. Is Rise of an Empire? Is there a difference? Because the graphic novel is called Xerxes.
No,
in Rise of an Empire.
Rise of an Empire is just it's part of the 300 storyline. I don't even know if Rise of an Empire is actually within the graphic novel or not. If that storyline is or not. I always thought Rise or 300 was just about the Spartans. That's what I was under the assumption which we can dive into that when we dive into Rise of an Empire.
Sure.
So I guess we could just jump right into 300, directed and partially written, I guess. One of four or one of five?
Three. Or I guess technically you had the two
Three,
originals and then
four,
three people doing the screenplay.
Okay, so one of three of the screenwriters, Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, our God, our Jesus Joker God.
Oh God. So yeah, there is a sequel comic to the 300 Dark Horse series, but
Okay.
when Zack Snyder left to go do Man of Steel, they decided instead to go in a different direction and do more historic stuff rather than stick to the comic.
Okay.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
For Rise of an Empire or for the comic. Okay. Yeah.
At least that's what I'm reading here.
So I'm also under the assumption 100% that this is in the same universe as Hercules Legendary Journeys, and you can't take that away from me. Boom.
You mean 300%, right?
300,000%.
Okay. Just making sure. just wanted to be clear.
So who wants to start this off with 300 from 2006 starring Gerard Butler? I think it was his first main lead role. Wasn't this?
Well, I'm imagining it's the one that put him on the map
To do all of his
Then he
rom-coms afterwards.
Hey, he did Gamer
With Dexter.
with Yo. And I mean he's done those Olympus Has Fallen, Angel Fallen,
Which I actually
Everything's Fallen.
I really enjoy that franchise, the Fallen franchise. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I barely watched them.
But
I did see the Ugly Truth though.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did, and I think that was Katherine Heigl's one of her final movies before she went Hallmarky.
Who even knows? Most of them are forgettable. What was it? 27 Dresses. She did that.
Oh, but he did do Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston. That was fun.
Yeah,
I like that one. Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, I don't.
Hey, let's get off the Gerard Butler crush.
2006, man. It kind of blows my mind because for me, I decided to watch because I've watched 300 a bunch because I'm still part of that. I'm not a big fan of Zack Snyder. I actually find him to be not only extremely pretentious but pretty childish with his writing and directing style. Kind of reminds me of a Michael Bay, if you will.
I guess the Snyder Cut talk is going to be a fun one then.
No. It's not the Snyder Cut anymore. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It's the Snyder Cut. It will always be the Snyder Cut.
But so I thought it would be more interesting because I've seen 300 a bunch. I still maintain it's a toss up for me if I prefer 300 versus Watchmen.
Yeah,
I think those are pretty much two good ones. Some people like Dawn of the Dead. I was 50-50 on it. Not big fast zombies kind of guy, but whatever. That's personal preference. But I figured it'd be better to watch Rise of an Empire since Hannah hadn't seen it either. So we started with that one because we assumed it was a full-on prequel. That's what we assumed. You mean based
sequel?
on the? No, I thought it was going to be a prequel based on the title, Rise of an Empire. I thought it was going to be about. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit of how Xerxes showed up.
It kind of was.
Yeah, but that was more of I guess I'll get to that opening.
Well,
when we
let's get to that when we go over to that one. But yeah,
okay.
I thought I'd watch that first, and this happened. What was it? 2014, I think you said it was
2014 for Rise of an Empire.
I
Yeah,
thought it was 2012.
no, it's 2014.
What a significant difference between the two. It was it was really strange. I'll just get out of the way. This felt like a movie that was trying to be a Zack Snyder film, but just I don't know if it didn't have the budget or
Jesus.
nobody cared.
For the second one?
The Rise of an Empire. It felt cheap. I don't know what it was, but it felt cheap to me. Even though you had a ton of CGI, it felt cheap.
When we get to that one. Let's do the
I'm
first
just throwing
one.
it out
Also,
there.
Zack Snyder did Legends of the Guardians. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Garhool?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Is that the owl movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
The one where they stole that part from for Sonic. Yeah. The owls. Oh,
Sonic is actually a prequel to it.
what's that? Yeah, Sonic's a prequel.
Sonic is actually a prequel to Legends. That's why his mom was an owl or whatever.
I'll take it. So with 300, it's I think everybody's seen this movie by now at least once, or knows most of like the basic "this is
the
Sparta"
memes
bullshit. Which I mean, freaking people recreated that scene many a times.
It's still get anyone on the edge of a bridge or anything.
Okay,
well, Steven Crowder
Jesus.
Steven Crowder just blew out his knee doing a parody of it less than a month ago. So that's, interesting.
Also, in my head, I was thinking park bridges, not actual.
Tivis just reminded me never to stand on the bridge with him because he's gonna fucking kick my ass off.
I love it. Like most people these days, like leave little notes and stuff to be like, "No, don't do it." And Tivis is like, "Nah, let me help."
This is my bridge. Boom.
I mean, I actually put in 300 this morning to try and keep it a little more.
Don't stand on top of my home.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I still kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because it's like I said, like with a Michael Bay, you watch a ton of his movies afterwards. You're like, oh, again, that same shot. Oh, that meme. Yeah. But I always got to say, like when I watch Armageddon or the first Bad Boys or something like that, I try to watch it without having the Michael Bay. Like I shouldn't be calling this like a meme or a trope because it hadn't started yet.
Yeah.
Kind of like if you like watch like old Halloween movies or like Predator or RoboCop and stuff like that. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't a meme at that point yet.
Right.
He was getting there. But I don't know. I still think it's pretty good for the most part. I think acting is pretty good in it.
Yeah. You got Michael Fassbender, dude. I didn't even remember Michael Fassbender was in that film.
Neither do I. I've literally just watched it and I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah. He was like the very energetic soldier that like when he has like the guys there and he's like, "I'm ready to die for you, sir," or some shit like that.
Young one?
No. The young one was the guy he was always fighting side by side with in the battle. I'm trying to let me pull up his character's
I might be blurring the two films together.
Stelios.
Who was the one who got his head chopped off?
That was the guy who fought side by side with Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
Astinos, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Which
I'd like the acting. The hard part is I guess a lot of the opinions I'm going to give are really, it's going to be in comparison to Of an Empire. So if you kind of hear me like kind of praise certain things, it's like, I think this is still relatively good. It is kind of campy, but like the acting's pretty solid. Gerard Butler's good. Lena Headey was pretty good because in Rise of Empire it felt more like she was being Cersei.
Yeah.
Well,
there was during the time of Game of Thrones that she shot that, I believe. Right?
Well, it would make sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, you almost forget that she's in the first one because she wasn't on Game of Thrones yet.
Big part in the first one, though, I would think.
Oh, well, yeah, she's Leonidas's wife. She has a ton of scenes.
She has a ton of work in it. I mean, without her basic like head nod, basically to kick the dude into the fucking pit, half the movie wouldn't even have needed to take place.
Well, and it's difficult because it's like the Rise of Empire really tried. Like I said, it just felt like a hollow remake. Like I understand that we were talking more about the Athenians than the Spartans, but it was like whenever they made references to stuff in 300, it was just like, ugh. You ruined it. I guess you guys might want to keep going through 300 because really all my stuff's on Empire because 300 I still think it's been the same thing I've said a billion times. It's pretty good. It's stylistic. It's kind of fun and it really kind of started a genre and imagery and I don't know. I still think it holds up. I mean, it's kooky. I forgot there were war rhinos. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I wonder if Black
elephants.
Panther got that. Well, no, elephants and rhinos.
Yeah, they had everything in there. It was basically anything Persian you could think of, they threw it in there. All the stereotype Persian shit too.
And the big fat guy with like the saw arms,
fucking like tough looking motherfucker.
it was one of those. Oh my God. One of my favorite parts is at the beginning when they're doing when Faramir is doing his exposition dump, talking about how Spartan boys are
His
raised
name's
and
not
they do all that.
in this movie.
I know. I
but
know.
because I had seen the Lord of the Rings finally.
Now
I
you know what I'm
noticed
saying.
him.
I understood that reference.
I was like, oh shit, that's the and he was also in Van Helsing too.
Yes, he was the friar. Yeah. It was funny because they were doing the exposition part, and King Leonidas is out in the winter wonderland fighting the wolf.
Mhm.
I love how in his exposition he goes, well, the wolf like looks at him and he opens his eyes and they're like glowing creepily yellow.
Yeah.
And then the exposition goes, yes, and the wolf's eyes that glue red. I'm like, no, it's not.
Like hell,
Lying.
Yeah.
hellfire.
You
or
lied to
something.
me. You lied to me.
That guy, I really like that actor. He actually was in actually I'm wearing the shirt, Iron Fist, the TV show. He was the the dad, the rich dad who like faked his death or something. Harold something. I don't remember.
One of
his
the
last
better
name.
actors in the show.
Yeah. Definitely. I it's been a while since I've seen the 300, the first one. I had never seen the second one until last night. So this is like the first viewing for the second one for all of us, I believe. Is that right, Tivis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It was for me, yeah.
So the 300 movie, I probably haven't seen that in what? 09 was probably the last time I saw it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it in the last year. I rewatched it. I want to say it was because of somebody kept bringing up Zack Snyder stuff.
Probably
and
me.
so I think I think you might have. I think we kept talking about the DCEU and stuff, and
Listeners,
we were fighting. Oh no, I know what it was. We were talking about Watchmen when the TV show came out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I rewatched Watchmen to see if it was any good, and then I told Hannah, I go, well, I mean, if I'm doing this, I'll just watch 300 to see if like my feelings for how I feel about Zack Snyder stuff is like, fair. And I still maintain it is. But yeah, I don't know. I love the music. I really like the soundtrack in 300 like a lot.
That stuck out to me too. I'm like, man,
not to get off track, but I want to say I wish that the 300 TV show was more stylized like the movie was visually.
You mean Watchmen?
Or Watchmen, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was gonna say there's a TV show.
Yeah, sorry. Wishful thinking on my part. I haven't seen it. I believe 2009 was the last time I watched it all the way through anyways.
It was around the same time for me.
Yeah.
2008, 2009.
Because Nick had never seen the first one. And then I ended up picking them both up on Blu-ray one day. And the second one just sat on my shelf for like 5 years unwatched. But I was like, eventually I'll get to it. I have a Hercules movie just like that too. When they did like the Rock Hercules and another Hercules movie came out at the same time, I bought both of them. Watched the Rock one. The other one I haven't watched yet because I was so like meh for the Rock's version. So but this one 2009, I remembered the big moments in it. I always hated going back and rewatching because the scene with Leonidas's wife, Queen Gorgo, I think it is. That's how it's spelled anyways. Giorgio, maybe?
Grogu?
Yeah, basically. Xerxes. She when she does the stupid scene with the asshole and basically he rapes her. It's like rape with consent. It's weird to describe it. I because she's like, yeah, but he's like, yeah, you're not going to enjoy this. It's not going to be quick or whatever. And I actually had to walk out of the room for that this time because I was just like, I knew it was coming, and so I walked out. I left the TV playing for Nick and shit, which probably should have told her.
Yeah, kind of a prick.
But I didn't want to ruin any parts of the movie or anything.
Yeah.
Actually, she was one of the things they changed from the comic because she didn't have a big role at all. She appeared in the beginning and then didn't come back again.
Well, I mean, 2006, they were showing you a powerful female right there.
Which I think is another thing, like, again, to compare. I think they utilize her character a lot more in this film, and people are like, oh, it was more about the theme. Yeah, but I mean, they tried to do it with Eva Green's character, and it just fucking fell flat for me. At least like with the Queen, it's like it showed this like mutual respect, like to where they value their women for certain specific things, while the men are reviewed, which is weird
too, because in the movie, like, Leonidas is basically up talking the Spartan women like every time, but that asshole is just like, you're a woman, no one's gonna fucking listen to you and shit like that. I'm like, what do you like? There's this like disconnect between the Spartan warriors and the Spartan whatever the fuck, there's politicians.
They're probably more like politicians, because I mean,
which says all kinds of things about politicians, because it's still kind of true.
Well, and also I think that's the shitty writing that you really see from Zack Snyder is like, he's very inconsistent, usually within his own dialogue of any show. Like, man, really go back and rewatch Man of Steel. He wants to be this pessimist. Yeah, I know, right? I would never like force that on anybody.
All right,
I mean, they won't like it, and it
won't
be short. Well, honestly, I feel like that rape scene is pretty. You use that dialogue; it's pretty synonymous with a Zack Snyder film. It doesn't feel good, and it takes too long. It won't be short. Because I actually forgot I actually forgot that 300 was an hour and 56 minutes. I actually forget it's that long. And Rise of an Empire is like 10 minutes shorter, and it feels like a fucking eternity.
I was
felt
surprised
like a 3-hour-long movie.
When I saw the runtime before I watched the movie for Rise of an Empire. I was like, this sequel, like, no one really talks about it, so why the fuck was it so long? Like,
oh well, when we get a little in there, I can talk about it. But I guess back to the thing, it's because it's strange that they really set up that everybody listens to King Leonidas, like, hello, because he's the king. But then they have the whole Oracle scene, and then they're coming back and like all these politicians are like undermining him, which I understand is kind of like how that works, like Game of Thrones type.
Well, you get it because the one guy is being paid off by the Persians. Like they blatantly show that before he even goes back.
They also talk about how they hold the old gods in such high esteem.
Yeah.
So not knowing that the Persians paid off the oracles.
Right.
So it's strange that, like,
which is also kind of interesting too. I'm sorry I cut you off, but with the Oracle stuff, it's like, Leonidas is himself is just like, oh, they just drugged the bitch up, basically. Like, it's just a drugged up girl, and she's doing whatever they basically say to her, and being and they get away with saying like these old creepy dudes are like raping this girl without saying these old dudes are raping this girl. It's like really weird. And the only like hint they give towards it is like the stupid lick on the face and stuff. I'm like, ugh.
Well, they also say, they enjoy the sins of the flesh.
Yeah.
They just want to infer and be all fucking edgelord. But like, that's the kind of thing I talk about, is just like,
how does her being on drugs make her float like that? Like, we're seeing that. That's not in her mind.
Because it's well, that's also not entirely true. You're having a narration.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So it could technically be a over dramatized story.
Yeah. Well, the Greeks were very like the, look at Greek mythology.
We'll look at all the monsters. We'll look at all the monsters and stuff.
Much like the rhinos later on and things. Those are much bigger than you would ever find.
Yeah. And because this isn't fucking Lord of the Rings. We don't have olive fonts that are as big as a skyscraper, It's just a normal ass elephant.
Yeah.
But
their mythology, I question once we hit the second movie, because in the first movie, Leonidas is just like, basically like, this is all bullshit. Like, some of them realize like the gods aren't like gods. They're just stories.
Yeah.
In the first movie, and then we get to the second movie, and then we're getting into other stuff. I'm like, okay, what is it like?
Well, I mean, you also talk about that because you have Xerxes calling himself the God King. So obviously there's could be like more of a hubris thing because they bring that up a few times. And then, but you also have to think that we're also not talking about Spartan culture. We're being told the story now from the Athenian point of view, and their lifestyles a little bit
Greek
different.
culture. Like,
True,
Greek
but I mean,
in origin, anyways.
But I mean, you start talking about like Christianity, Catholicism, Lutheran, Methodist, like they all kind of are a little form of each other, yet, you know, they're dramatically different if you go into practice.
They give you a lot. There's a lot of fucking like, not backstory. Well, there's a lot of backstory given in the first movie. A lot of, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Lore?
Not necessarily lore. They're just describing everything. Fucking hell, I'm out of
exposition.
Word. Exposition, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of exposition in the first one to where there's not a lot of dialogue from the actual characters.
Oh, I don't know about that. I feel the first one does that. The second one's the one that it's just exposition. It's actually 14 minutes and 33 seconds, I believe, into Rise of an Empire.
Yeah.
That there's no actual narrative dialogue.
No.
It's all exposition.
I got some shit
about
for that
14
movie
minutes
when we talk about it. Let's finish up with 300 then, because we're coming.
But like I said, like that scene you're describing with the queen, it's like you think like
the rape scene.
Because they bring it up. It's well, and they also bring it up like she shouldn't be walking around and she should be more careful. It's like I mean. I'm really surprised that King Leonidas didn't account for something like that. Cause of course they'd be pissed off at him and her and stuff.
He also even tells, one of the Persians when they're on the battlefield, he's like, well, you don't know our women. Like their women are trained fighters too. They're just
he literally says that to Xerxes.
Yeah,
he's
to
like,
Xerxes,
at this point, we would have been better off bringing them up here the way your guys fight. It's like, oh man.
It's like that line that his the queen says to the emissary. He's like, "Why is this woman allowed to speak?" And she's like, "Because only Spartan women give birth to real men."
Yeah, Spartan men. Yeah. Which they're in their mythology. It's like the Spartans are descendants from Hercules himself, which in Greek it is Heracles. Thank you very much, fucking Hollywood. God, sorry.
I just think it's badass though, because it's like they give them enough dialogue to do stuff, and they're always doing something.
Yeah,
like this was something I realized with Rise of Empire. You show up and they're just standing there waiting to give off dialogue.
Yeah,
versus like in this one, there's like that scene where Leonidas' son is running around and she's looking for him, and then she ends up having this conversation with that guy and the older dude, like by the water well or whatever. It's like, we're walking through the town. We're seeing the set. Like we're seeing people doing stuff like the blacksmith working and women carrying stuff around. Like we're watching a society actually go versus like, oh, she was standing by this thing and okay, enter guy, says dialogue, cut away. Like it was so lazy in the second one, but the first one, they're actually doing stuff. The dialogue has a point. It really shows off characters.
It works with what they're doing, what they're trying to do anyways.
Yeah. And the dialogue doesn't feel quite as try hard.
Yeah.
It actually feels a little bit like, because obviously trying to write that kind of like old war / almost like thespian type dialogue, I can understand could be a little difficult to do, especially when you're in a little more modern time. If you're not necessarily
they actually got
good at that.
A professor, a Greek history professor from Cambridge University to coach them how to pronounce the names correctly.
And that'd be good.
He would have told them not to say Hercules for Greek then.
You fuck. But it's just like, it's like better dialogue, and it's not quite as like generic bad guy stuff. I mean, it's still in there, but it's not quite as blatant and annoying. Like
it's not as egregious as it could be.
Yeah, because I mean, you get it's got to be hard to like when you had to try and do the Asgardians in the first Thor, or like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, like getting your dialects down and stuff like that without sounding either super cringelord or too modern. I could see how that's a little difficult, but granted, that's where the talent comes in.
Yeah. I know the queen, the actress who plays the queen, like every time she spoke, like, and the way that they lit her, I straight up thought she was the one chick from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Keira Knightley?
Yeah, because she sounded like her with that accent on and everything. Yeah. Ooh, Tivis just like punched his table, I think.
He's like, damn it, not Keira Knightley.
I raised my hand and smacked it on the side.
Nice. I don't know. I think the way it's shot is good too. And I hate to like say that, especially when some people tend to dog on his style and things like that. But there's a lot more camera angles and movement
This
and
one
like
was a
cleaner fights and stuff like that. I thought it was more impressive.
yeah, this was more of an art piece too, because they shot this whole thing in a warehouse. It was all green screen. The only thing that wasn't green screen were some of the costumes that the people were wearing, you know, like and then of course like the Persian like sword hand guy, crab hand guy, Mr. Krabs as I called him earlier. Which actually no, technically they weren't crab hands, they would have been more lobster. So
But,
yeah. Well, no, maybe it was half of a lobster.
Just call him Fat Scyther.
It was
from,
just it was like from
Pokemon.
here to here was all
Scyther.
I like that they they talk about their religious holiday where they're not allowed to wage war, which I think may have been one of the things that led into the Olympics, because that all war ceased during that time. But they don't mention it, but 10 years prior we see it in the second film, the Athenians, I think that's how you pronounce it, in the Persians' first invasion of Greece, the Spartans were not there because it was during that time, so they thought they could pull the same stunt. And the movie changes this probably for the better of storytelling, but the Spartan government actually told hey, go ahead and take a big group of bodyguards and just go over that area. We're not waging a war.
Yeah. Can I tell you also this proves why hierarchies are better than the democratic government?
Ooh, I don't know about that. And there's a difference between democracy and a democratic republic.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
I also do appreciate in 300 that instead of just trying to make us fucking assume stuff by having characters tell us things, we actually get to see them do things. Yes. For example, is when King Leonidas is talking to the oracles and he's explaining the plan, and he's actually drawing it in the sand and telling them, here's our plan. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. This should work. And then the oracles, even though it's a good plan, the oracles are like, no, we're going to do this thing and show you drunk lady. And so it shows that King Leonidas has a plan. He's thinking, he's smart, he's tactitious. That's a cool thing. So then when he's making decisions later in the film, you're not annoyed at him as much, because you're like, okay, he's thinking about it. He knows what he's doing. It's fine. But in like the second one, it's just like we have to take everybody's fucking word for it that these people are incredible, or we don't even know what the plan is until it's already happening. And you're like, oh, bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The second one's a whole expedition dump as to why they're great.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that again, like I said, in a few minutes here. But so I said to my wife too, something about the sex scene between Leonidas and his wife right before he goes off to battle and everything. And I thought that was like the best sex scene that I've seen in a Zack Snyder thing ever. At first I told her, I was like, I think this is the only sex scene I've ever seen Zack Snyder direct. And then I realized he did the stupid one in Watchmen.
Okay, to be fair, and I'm kind of with you here. The only reason why you call that one dumb has got to be the song choice. Come on.
No, I don't know.
You turn the music off. That's a pretty visually nice.
So the sex scenes are supposed to be romantic and sexy at the same time. That's how I would judge a sex scene, is the romance in it and if it's actually sexy. The one in the stupid ship was kind of meh.
I think all sex scenes are different. It depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because is it a one night stand? Is it between a wife and a husband? Is it a reluctant sex scene?
You could really see in the way the camera was, I guess. I'm not dissecting their sex scene. I'm not gonna go back and rewatch it, but like you could see the passion between the two characters within,
and that's the good word.
Yeah.
And you also got to think about it, because this one always strikes me too. When it comes to this sounds kind of weird, but because it's a period piece and the way it is, it's interesting sexual positions. I have a feeling that Zack Snyder just wanted to use them all, versus like you look at like a Game of Thrones. There's a
Jason
point
Momoa
where
just like bends his wife over and rails her,
fucking railing her. Well, it's because they kind of see women as objects, so they're inferior, and they mount them.
Well, that
like
was
they're
before
stallions.
she like took control too.
But see, and that's what I'm talking about. Her getting on top and going cowgirl style it's a show of dominance, which Khal Drogo wouldn't necessarily be cool. That's why he's reluctant. When you see that, it's like he has to submit essentially in that position for the most part, and she takes over. So it is interesting that in this one they both get their turn, if that makes sense. And I think that regardless of whether or not like certain positions actually existed in their time, because I don't know how early the Kama Sutra came up and how many countries actually knew of it. But the idea is that we're being shown that they're both essentially on the same level. Like, you know, they both get their turn, they both get to take the reins, and it's all like super passionate and stuff. And it's obviously shot and edited relatively like, I don't know, artsy. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. Doesn't feel overtly gratuitous or anything.
No. It doesn't feel like it should be on Pornhub or some shit like that. Like,
But then you go look at like a movie like Original Sin with Antonio Banderas and Angelina Jolie. The whole point is it's supposed to be like this kind of chaotic, carnic kind of thing, because it's the original sin. They're committing adultery, I believe, and so it's like it's got to be.
I meant for like a Zack Snyder thing. Like it was his better work of, but I don't think he's done anything else besides that and Watchmen for sex scenes that I can recall.
Because I mean, what else do we got to choose from?
Sucker Punch. There was no sex scenes in there. It was
leading
rape,
to one in one of the Superman movies, but it didn't like portray it. He just got pulled into a bathtub.
Maybe there's gonna be a 3-hour sex scene in Justice League. Boom.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Oh, Jesus.
Between Darkseid and Steppenwolf.
There you go.
Oh, they're related.
Was there one in Legends of the Guardians?
Oh no.
Deleted scene. Zack Snyder's Legends of the Guardian cut.
And like it just does a bunch of like slow-mo and fade to blacks, and then all of a sudden 2 scenes later there's just an egg and an S. Sorry, Tibbs.
Yeah, he didn't do much before he did Dawn of the Dead. It was all like shorts. Okay. Well, fuck. All right. Well,
nice phrasing.
Last thing I want to talk on with the first movie, anyways, is Xerxes. What did you guys think of like his like appearance in the film? Like, because he's like fucking like they make him look like he's 4 feet taller than Leonidas in the one scene, and then of course that voiceover work that they did was kind of rough. I don't know if you guys watch it on Blu-ray or not, but in the Blu-ray the voiceover kind of doesn't match with the lips a whole 100%.
It does not. No.
But I still like the tone of the voice, and I like his appearance, like just being this massive giant. So.
Well, in the over the top costume and all that, like, and that's something that was another thing I feel like they kind of fuck up in the second one. But I'll just say for the sake of it in this one, I like the presence that they try to give him, because he does look kind of dopey with all the piercings and all the silliness,
Persian,
but like. But you know, at the point it's getting a point across. It's showing off his riches. Like he comes in on that throne being carried by all those people. Like it's a nice visual representation of the kind of dominance that he has over his culture and stuff like that. I think that's really neat. Again, I agree with you. I like the voice. I think the whole point is it's supposed to make him larger than life, and I think they because obviously he doesn't really do anything on a physical standpoint when it comes to intimidation and things like that. He has everybody else do the work for him. So I think it's the idea of it's a coward that needs to use intimidation to prove a point, and I think they do a really good job with that.
And he's so like wanting, he needs everybody to just like submit to him, like
he wants the validation.
He wants the validation. It's like, but then I'm like, if you kill someone, you're not really being validated by them. You just killed them. Then that's kind of less, in my opinion, you know.
Or whipping and stuff. I mean, it's kind of like the idea. It's like why people are usually against torture. Yeah. It's to get certain things, because it's like, okay, did they confess to something because it's true, or that because they wanted it to stop? Right. So that, you know, that
which happens a lot
becomes an issue. Which I'm sure, yeah. So I just think it works good to his character. It really shows a dynamic, like the juxtaposition and the duality of like two different leaders and the way that they lead.
Yeah.
One is he's on the front lines, he's right next to you. He, you know, even says, I would die for any of the men next to me. Well, he wants all his men to submit to him and do his bidding. He said slaves.
He would kill his men right in front of his other men to get the respect out of them or something.
To prove a point, yeah. And Leonidas would die to prove his point. And I think that really, it's kind of cool to see the two cultures and the two leaders and the two ideologies clash in such a neat one-on-one powerful way too. I think that's that
was played by Rodrigo Santoro.
I thought it was Keegan-Michael Key. Sorry.
I don't know who that is.
Come on, guys. Key and Peele? Fucking hell. Come on, guys. Well, I'm glad my joke didn't land.
Crash and burn. Yeah. Like hackers.
Just
nobody? Come on.
No, I'm not giving you a hackers. I'm not giving you a hack the planet. I'm not doing it.
Oh, fuck you guys.
Especially if you don't know who Keegan-Michael Key is. I
didn't watch that shit. I seriously didn't watch that shit.
Key and Peele is incredible. Yeah. Did you not see Keanu, the little cat?
No, I never watched it.
You never saw How I Met Your Mother?
I watched How I Met Your Mother.
He's in an episode of that.
He's in
an episode of like everything. He's in Parks and Rec as he was Rita's teacher boyfriend who like made cupcakes and muffins and stuff.
Oh, Goldar.
What?
Anyways,
like from fucking Power Rangers?
Oh,
so, Rita, got it. Got it. That took me a second.
We all made some bad jokes there.
Yeah.
My last thing on Xerxes was he just reminded me of Ra from the Stargate movie from '94.
Yeah.
The sun god?
Yeah. So, Tivis, what did you think? Because you haven't said much about the first film. And we're about to get to the second one because I know you got to go soon.
Well, I enjoy it. This is my Snyder at what I consider his best, taking something that already exists and putting it on screen. I don't think he's that good at making his own stuff, but you know, everyone has their own taste.
Well, I mean, what do you mean about making his own stuff? Almost everything he's done is an adaptation.
That is actually true.
Everything he's done is an adaptation. Every single
Man of Steel
thing.
And Batman vs Superman, while adaptations are original things that didn't follow page for page out of a book.
It's still an adaptation. Adaptation shouldn't have to follow page for page, script for script, word for word.
Yeah. Hence the word adaptation.
It shouldn't, but with him, I think it needs to.
Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt.
I mean, maybe Legends of the Guardians, but I don't know. Was that a book or something before?
I have no idea.
Guardians of Gahul, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a series.
So yeah, everything he's done is an adaptation so far. Except for his new zombie film that's coming out, which might just be a sequel to the other zombie franchise he had done. So
yeah. Which I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. The adaptation argument, I mean, it's half the reason why people don't like him. Because everybody hates, well, not, I guess, obviously can't say everybody, but a majority of people don't like his take on Man of Steel, and they don't like, I mean, don't forget he helped write the first Wonder Woman. Okay. A lot of people are waking up to that one, and
maybe I should rephrase that. When he does faithful adaptations is where he shines.
Well, I just think this one works for him because it's a lot of people like I don't know. I feel like, Well, I just think that's one. I mean, graphic novels weren't necessarily as prominent in the movie adaptation world at that point because, I mean, people were still dealing with normal ass comics.
Yeah, that was even
it
before
wasn't
Fantastic Four and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, because you also got like, this is coming out in like 2006. This is around, Lord of the Rings is either just about to finish or has finished up. You got, medieval stuff was making a big charge at that time. You had like Eagle Eye or not Eagle Eye, but like the Eagle, and don't forget Channing Tatum was in that. But I think this just really showed off the visual storytelling of it. And you also got to remember, like, this is something like, again, compared to 300 of an Empire or whatever, Rise of an Empire. It didn't look cheap. I don't know how he got all but the costumes looked better. And the fighting looked better. It looked like, people really took their time and everybody looked the part and
painted on abs.
But it was over the top storytelling and it was kind of like almost like magic. And we hadn't really seen so much like crazy green screen that was dramatic like this. The last time we'd seen green screen or blue screen is like prominent and almost the focal point was the fucking prequels. And that was essentially a lot of that looks almost cartoony. Especially you go back to like Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, that's true. But another thing I really liked is the actual historic accuracy of it. There's very little things in this that are just wrong. And I mean, I know there's some people who are like, they portrayed the Persians as monsters and stuff. And I'm like, you got to remember, this is from the point of view of the Spartans. I mean, that claw had, it might have just been a dude with a sword, but to them, they made it more terrifying.
Yeah.
They wanted people, like, hey, we got to stop these guys. And it's
because sometimes people like they talk about it like with the Joker and like Taxi Driver, the unreliable narrator. That doesn't necessarily always mean it's all just a lie. Sometimes it could mean it's just dramatized or changed up. So, exactly to your point. I think that's a like the wolf doesn't have to be as big as an elephant. It could just be a fucking wolf. But for the story, it's kind of neat to see this like creepy, almost mythical looking monster being defeated by a man. It's kind of neat. A Beowulf, great example. Shit like that.
And another thing people have to remember is, like Beowulf, a lot of these stuff, they actually were seeing some strange ass shit because they ate moldy bread and hallucinated a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, the Greeks are known just to exaggerate everything and the Spartans being beat the fuck all the time. Like, pretty sure there's some brain damage anyways. So, great hallucinations. And they already proved in this specific movie even that there are hallucinogens because they give it to the Oracle. So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, in short, I liked it.
Yay, and it wasn't even the soundboard.
All right, so let's dive into Rise of an Empire then. This is the 2014 film starring people I don't even fucking know, except for the reprising role characters from the first movie.
You don't know Eva Green? Come on.
Can I say that I think this would have been better received if it hadn't waited 8 years?
8 years?
There was 8 years between the first one and the second.
Yeah. Well, they also say in the beginning of the beginning dialogue of the film, it's been like 10 years, which doesn't make sense.
That's
the way they portray that does not look that way.
That's the Battle of Marathon that I was talking about earlier, where the Spartans didn't participate. That was 10 years before the Xerxes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. We'll let it slide then.
I'm kind of 50-50 on you with that, Tivis, because I do kind of agree that some movies get a little bit of a pass because it comes out so quickly afterwards. People are still like in the mood. I think Stranger Things is probably a good example. Like, even if it's kind of dog shit, people are still kind of on the high of the first season, so they'll get through it. Probably Mandalorian.
This is just stuff of my experience, because I don't think I would have enjoyed the second one as much as I did if I hadn't just watched the first one.
See, and I'm kind of with that immediately, is that watching the second one and then going back and rewatching the first one, because you get worried. You watch that second one, you go, God, well, okay, for me, what a fucking pile of shit. What a fucking terrible film. I fucking hated it, by the way. But I'm going through the whole time, and I'm like, I think there's like this first ship battle that happens, right? And they do this really cool like ramming thing, and I'm like, okay, would have been neat to know that this was the plan. I don't know anything. I think they even talk about the wall to sea and shit like that, but like, I don't know. Again, it's all Athenian stuff, naval battles. So this big CGI Navy battle happens. And I'm like, I don't give a rat's ass about any of these characters. I don't know what's going on. Anytime they kind of go back and talk about the original 300, I get pissed off. And then I'm like, I hit pause and I go, fucking hell, I'm barely 40 minutes into this like almost 2 hour film.
It's not even that they go back to talk about the original film. It's that these films are side by side.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Looked at the timestamp. An hour and 8 minutes passes before you get to a point in the story where you're after the 300 film.
Yeah. It's like they talk, it's like prequeled, then happening side by side, and then happening
afterwards.
And then afterwards, and then we come back. It's like, so when you're having these conversations in Sparta, I'm like, I fucking am not entirely sure where we are right now.
Yeah. And it also doesn't make sense according to the timeline of the first film, where it was just the course of a couple days, I believe it was. Where this film, it's like they're traveling back and forth to Athens like all the time. I'm like, travel is not that fast.
They are teleporting a lot.
Yeah.
And
they're all god kings now. It's like,
and the dialogue is absolutely shit. It's generic, hollow, baddie stuff. I hate it. There's even a point where somebody's like sleeping and they kick him. He goes, oh shit, and gets up. Hannah and I like, I missed it. And Hannah goes, wait, what? He goes, oh shit. Like, is that how they speak? Like some guy caught him sleeping, and that's how he pops up, and they talk about like damn it and stuff. She's like, I don't remember them throwing around dialogue like that, because you know, especially things like being damned and things like that, they took a little more seriously. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess you're overthinking for this type of film. And for them, but I was like, I don't know. The first one did a pretty good job with it for the most part. I was
really sad too for them being in the ocean most of this film. There wasn't more things talking about Poseidon. Like they should have been talking about it. There should have been a scene where they were praying to Poseidon for like to win the battle or some shit.
Well, don't forget, we even essentially got a scene like that in the first one when they're over on the mountains watching the sea tear apart their Persian navy, and you're like, yay, we're happy.
And they're like, praise Poseidon, Poseidon saved us or whatever and shit like that.
Could have been interesting.
But they don't do that for the people that are in the Navy who like literally are on the water all the time. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, and the historic part of this one, they just fucking said, screw it. We're going to do it. That same guy that from Cambridge that Snyder hired to help with the first one really railed into this one, talking about how like the what's that girl's name?
Oh, the Eva Green bad girl?
Yeah.
I can't remember
she wasn't an abused orphan child. She was actually a queen who petitioned not to send the fleet to Greece.
Artemis?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh god, and the main guy's name, I kept thinking they called him Mr. Mistopheles.
Like,
I was laughing.
They had to do some weird thing. I think maybe like not necessarily Zack Snyder, maybe Zack Snyder, who knows? But they had to throw in that random rape thing in there because they're basically saying like Eva Green's character, Artemisia or whatever, she watched her family die in front of her. So we're supposed to think, okay, this is what turns her crazy. No. The Greek soldiers capture her and put her on a fucking boat. Look, first of all, her own people killed her own people. Then they take her on a boat. As a kid, she looks like she's like 10 or 11 at that time.
Anybody notice that the old dude who was about to rape her kind of looked like Harvey Weinstein?
Right. But
I'm just throwing that out there.
He did.
No, I'm not
totally
kidding.
Did.
I think it was deliberate. And again, I hate to be that guy, but I couldn't help but notice we had a lot of strong female characters talking shit about the male characters right in their face, especially when they're like god kings and shit. It was really kind of annoying. Also, like, again, like I said, Lena Headey, just felt like she was playing Cersei. Didn't feel like she was doing the queen stuff. Just standing around, not doing much. Again,
half this movie is taking place while the first movie is going on anyways. So you got that.
And it is also strange. It fucks me up a little bit because they open with exposition dump stuff, like kind of like the first one and the Wonder Woman type stuff, with Lena Headey doing the exposition on it, but she's giving a speech, but yet breaking fourth wall essentially because she's telling the speech to us. Like she literally is deliberately looking into camera.
They did that in the first one with
Formir,
and, yeah. Thank you.
But
one-eyed guy.
But we also have like he's saying it around a camp, but he's saying it around a campfire, and he's telling a story versus like she's literally telling us what's happening.
They kind of do it in both in the first one. He's like, because first you at the beginning you see him at the campfire, but then at the end he's in the council room telling those people, and then it morphs into him on the battlefield finishing up the story. So it's like in three separate places he's telling this same story.
But it also feels like he's not like looking straight at you and going here.
No.
It's like he's talking to a crowd and stuff. It's not.
I don't know if it's because of the way they just had the camera set up. They could have put it off to the side or something to make it not look. Because I get she's supposed to be like walking straight or some shit on the ship. But
when she catches up, she's about to do the fight. So we're under the impression that she's giving a speech.
Yeah.
Like she's telling the story and giving a speech rather than telling a story.
All these thousands of people can hear one person talking.
Oh, I make that joke like 55, especially when half of these are happening on the boat.
Yeah,
I'm laughing my fucking ass off. I can see
that person, that exact person I want to see on that boat, like miles away when I can barely see the fucking boat.
Blows my mind.
Or at the end of the first one when they're like the 10,000 Spartans and the 300,000 other people. I'm like, you're like one dude. You need a megaphone, a sound system, sir. You need something. Like,
I mean, granted, you're gonna see a lot of shit like that, like the speech and
Braveheart and shit like that
from Rohan and shit like that. It's like, okay, I kind of get it, but I really would like somebody to check me on this. I'll probably pull it up for one more time just because I spent $2 and I'm angry about it. But I really do believe that I don't think there is actual narrative dialogue between two characters for almost 15 minutes of this film. It fucking blows my mind. So it's you get to see how Xerxes comes to be. And when I looked at, I remember telling Hannah, I go, this is supposed to be that dude. And I'm like, okay, we got to figure out how this happened. Yeah. And I go, so did he get so sad his hair fell out? No, he walks into a pool that kind of looks like a thermometer.
Melted gold.
It was so fucking silly.
Still shouldn't make him like 5 feet taller.
Yeah. It was, and took off all his beard and his hair. And
are we supposed to be under the assumption that he walked in and then came out with the piercings?
Well, that's how he did it. That's how the show portrayed it.
It's somebody embellishing a story, but still it's
there's
not
a big difference between that versus like a big elephant or like a guy looked goofy. This was a dude who like transformed immediately.
I actually have some thoughts on Xerxes in a second, but another thing, like immediately I knew things were going to be as good because Xerxes nor his father, is it Darius? Something like that. They weren't at
King
the
Darius,
Battle of Marathon. So I'm like, okay, we're already starting off weird. But at the same time, there was that line in the first 300 with the Queen saying it all started with a mistake years ago. So,
and I'm pretty sure they use almost 6 to 10 minutes of recycled footage. Like
probably
straight up just reuse footage, not only to like retell something because we're apparently too fucking dumb to remember, which to be fair, a lot of stuff happens.
Oh no, they totally did.
I don't care.
The scene at the beginning where you see Themistocles or whatever his name is,
Mr. Mistopheles,
but like shoot the arrow into the king.
Yeah,
we spend a long time on that in the beginning, and then like not even halfway through the movie, we get
We
like
go
a
back to it.
flashback of it. And I literally looked at Nikki. I was like, why do we need this? I was like, we know what's happening. We're watching the movie.
And I
It was
think
literally the opening of the
It's
film. It
not
was the
like-
inciting
I
incident.
think they
it's
take
not like
the
a
audio
4-hour
clip.
movie or some shit. It's like it's
Well, it's the exact
it's
same
less than
thing,
2
and they-
hours.
I think they
Well, no,
take.
it's the exact same thing, and just put Eva
Yeah.
Green's voice over
Yeah,
it.
the-
It's just her retelling it.
Yeah.
It might have been her, but I swear they took the same audio clip from the first 300 of the Queen, saying, it started with a mistake.
Could've
Probably.
been, yeah.
They didn't want
And
to pay her
it's
for
just-
a couple extra words.
Well, and like Xerxes doesn't have his presence because now we're keeping on him so much, and like his origin feels
was
so
it
weird
just
that
me,
I
or
just
was he missing like like in the first one he seemed to like glow like
It
with
was the
godly might.
lighting. It was the
Yeah,
Well, I
lighting
think it's
and-
bad lighting
yeah.
and it's cheap. Like it all just looked really cheap.
This
and
one
like,
was a lot. Like I watched it on the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray was like a lot crisper than the first one. So I wasn't sure if it was because of the time difference or just because they just decided a different color palette
Well,
for the whole thing.
And don't forget, they also shot that this was a 3D film.
Was it?
This, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that
And-
makes sense with a lot of the
and we
stuff
brought
I
it,
saw.
and we brought it up a
Because you
couple
got
of
the
times
blood
because we
looks
could
like it's from a fucking
Yep.
PS2 video
Yep.
game.
Yep. And it had all this depth. And then the thing that was driving me fucking insane is every goddamn scene has floating particulates just randomly floating around.
like-
it was driving me insane.
I don't like when they do the stupid in these older in the movies that are like period pieces like this, when
Yeah.
they purposefully do like this splat of blood on the screen and it stays there for a
Yes.
second. I'm like, there's literally no camera crew there doing this. It's not supposed to be a reality show. It's not like Parks and Rec.
Well, I think it's
I'm
supposed to be
50
like
I'm
it
50-50
lands on
with
your
that.
face, like you're there in the
Yeah.
battle.
Then
kind
give
of
it to me in a
immersive.
VR.
Because they do it in like Children of Men and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool. Or like in like
Maybe
Saving
it's
Private
just
Ryan.
maybe it's just
Yeah.
because it's so egregiously bad CG in this
yeah,
one.
I think that's what it is. Because
So-
the whole point is to try and put you in it.
Like,
That's
you,
the
you
goal.
can tell
I would imagine.
that did not this I didn't the story was all right. I didn't get bothered by that, but how the visuals and like you could tell they put a lot less effort like overall.
Or they're just or they're that incompetent too. I told Hannah, there was a point where I was so angry that we didn't record a commentary for it because there were 2 moments where I lost it. I go, I really want to just turn it off.
Yeah.
There was even a point where my controller wouldn't even let me like pull up the menu to see how much time was left. It was the secondary naval battle, I believe. They're coming in, they're about to ram, and like all of a sudden the Athenians kind of disappear for a second. I go, they split off. Okay, I don't know what's it. Hannah, really at this point, fuck it. You know what? Have the ships fall from the fucking sky at this point. I don't know.
Oh, when they
Maybe
go into
made
the
a su-
fog? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? At this point, I bet they come from the sky. You know what? They've lost it. I bet they made a submarine. They're going to come up from underneath. I'm not kidding you. 2 seconds later, they hit that like ravine
Mhm.
and end up in this like cracked between the mountains. And the Spartans start leaping, yeeting themselves off the mountain from the sky to land. I go, Hannah, you gotta be kidding me. They're falling from the sky. I'm like, their knees and legs would have shattered.
Yeah.
I'm not buying this.
Here's the other thing about that scene and every fight scene really with these Athenians. They've made it a point multiple times in the movie to tell you these are not soldiers. They're just like blacksmiths and handsmaids, or not handsmaids, but like, people that just work on like farms and shit like that. They're not soldiers. And yet
Sculptors
they're like
and
beating the fuck out of these trained military Navy personnel from the Persian army who's,
they live on sea.
yeah. And I mean, these are Persians that have like, they're trained and they can take out some Spartans even. Like, you telling me they can't just knock these guys out?
I'll do you one better. They fuck themselves immediately. Bow and arrows fucking exist. And the fact that the bad guys just keep not using them, I'm gonna lose my
Well,
shit.
even in the first one, we see
Yeah.
that, they block out the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there are about 3 different battles where it's like, if they would have just unloaded arrows for like 5-10 minutes, it's fucking game's over.
Mhm.
We didn't even need all that oily fire shit. I just go, this is all insane.
Turtle
just light them
SEAL
up.
Team 6 divers.
Oh man, I was dying. It was so funny. I was like, oh my goodness. It was, it's fucking laughable. And then
I don't know if that's a real strategy, but I mean, it's kind of smart when you're dealing with people with arrows.
Not back then.
But they're also in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, how many of these guys can swim that good and not get speared or
Also,
not get shot?
I wonder, do those guys know that they were kamikaze guys? Like, because they
they kind of didn't give me that vibe.
They didn't give me that vibe. It's kind of like she just sent them out there. I thought that the turtle shell things on their backs were like full of air so they could breathe underwater.
I was thinking either that or they had like weapons or something.
I thought they were like full of the flammable
or
shit.
just to keep them floating. I thought they were just trying to keep them
floating.
floating.
The flammable shit, but when I first saw it, I didn't realize. Yeah. I just thought it was like an air tank or something, like an old school air tank, like made out of a sack of a goat's belly or some shit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Her army was made up of those immortals from the first film, right? I didn't see anyone else.
Yeah.
Most of her army, there was other people.
Both.
Yeah.
Was there?
Yeah.
'Cause I know there was the giants. They were back throwing those flaming rocks.
Yeah.
The gratuitous sex scene was insane. By the way,
that
was just fucking.
That wasn't even like that wasn't that was stupid.
It was fucking stupid. And then her fucking edgelord emo fucking makeup. I can't stand it. And then she's of course fighting with two swords like an asshole at the end. And then
that's kind of funny that you say that, because when we were watching the film, Nick is like, how come all the Greeks, they don't wear armor? She's like, I get that they can move easier, but I was like, yeah, well, they have a shield. And she's like, well, the other people wear armor and then they can carry two swords. I was like, you don't want to carry two swords unless you're good with two swords, first of all.
Well, not only that, like a lot of Spartans weren't carrying their shields either. Or I guess they weren't Spartans at Athenians, but it's like, why did only some of them have them and some of them didn't? And
they might have lost them. They might have been too heavy for them. Again, the first movie even set that up, that like not everyone knows how to hold a shield or can carry a shield.
Oh,
well, the only one they really talk about is the monster guy.
That right there. I want to get into that. Was he looked different in the second one, and he was able to move his damn arm better. Like they made a point that he couldn't raise his arm, and then he's like doing full motion with it in the second one.
In the first one, the hunchback was like practical for the most part. In the second one, it looked like almost all CG.
Yeah.
It's like a bodysuit, and they gave him a CGI eye that kind of like floated around. It was really weird. Oh, you know what? Let me get on that. Fucking every time they tried to introduce a backstory to a character, they ruined it. Like, I didn't realize that the dude who got kicked into the fucking pit was the dude who found Bad Girl.
Yeah.
He's the one who picked her up. And I go, this guy trained her. This guy trained her how to fight and do all the badass stuff. Really makes him look like a dipshit for getting caught off guard and kicked into a well like an asshole.
I think those heads that she brought back were supposed to be the same ones that he held to intimidate.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And it's like, that's silly. The Xerxes stuff was silly. And like I said, I really, because you really do like King Leonidas and you like the Spartans and you're rooting for him in the first movie. I really just do kind of hate how they shit on him on this one. Yeah. And it really kind of annoys the fuck out of me. I understand that it's like, oh, it's the bad guy's dialogue, but it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to like see Leonidas' head lopped off and shit like that. Yeah. It just kind of bugged me.
Well, that was something else. I was like, I didn't like this second movie.
I hated it.
I really didn't care for it.
I enjoyed it, but
I told Nick,
I recognize that it's worse.
There's some cool moments for it, but they would be cool in a different movie.
God, I'd have to know which ones.
Can I talk about the director real quick?
Okay,
sure.
Noam Murr. He's done 3 things. He did a Smart People, which was praised at the Sundance Film Festival. He was then picked up to do A Good Day to Die Hard, but left that to do the Rise of the Empire. Mm-hmm. And then he hasn't done anything until 2018, where he did a BBC miniseries, Watership Down.
Okay.
So he's got 3 credits.
Apparently, right after this, that actress did Dame to Kill for the Sin City movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ava Green's in a lot of stuff, dude, and pretty much shows her boobs in 90% of it.
Why?
She was also She was Money Penny in one of the
Bond
Daniel Craig Bond movies. Oh, Oh, can we talk about after the explosions on the Athenian ships and everybody ends up in the water? One, I don't understand how the leader guy isn't charred to a billion pieces because that explosion happened like 5 feet in front of his face.
I was like, so he's dead now, right? Like as soon as that happened,
I was like, oh, okay, cut to credits. And then we hit the water, and because they want to lift a scene from the fucking first one, they have these like weird little sea monster underwater dragons with the glowing eyes.
Where did they lift that from?
It was
they were
wolf.
like eels. They were like eel dragons or some shit.
Oh, I didn't really.
There's two of them.
It was too dark. I couldn't
monsters.
see it.
But after we saw them, because I know they were spiky dragons, because one, they bring up talking about like a sea serpent dragon once, and then after we see those ugly, stupid things, we cut back to Eva Green, bad girl, emo, hot topic lady. She's got like this weird, like spiky gold armor. Kind of reminds me of what's her face? Nicole Kidman's stupid trench armor from Aquaman. Like, it looks fucking dumb. And I told Hannah a bunch of times, I got a lot of Aquaman vibes from this. Like the poor dialogue, the bad CG, But the problem is there's no Jason Momoa to like counterbalance my hatred for everybody in this film.
Like the actors in this, there wasn't any like good. Like, I mean, Graham, when the first one came out, Gerard Butler was a nobody, and Fassbender was a nobody. Like all the actors in the first one were nobodies when they came out, but it was still enjoyable because the acting was pretty good, and then they all blew up to be something. In this one, it's like there's no standout actor for me unless you try to say Eva Green, but I feel like I've seen that before. Like I've seen that same shit before.
Well, I think the problem is that the first one, it was like a bunch of people trying.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of people who believed in what they were trying to do and be these characters. And then it felt like this one felt like just a bunch of people who showed up. Cause you could tell a lot of the people that came back from the first one, they were just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like Lena Headey, like I said, she was just woman who stood in a place until someone came and talked to her, left the screen, cut away. Yeah. That's literally all it was. She wasn't doing anything.
And I'm
really
sorry,
lame.
people, if I keep saying like Eva Green, but I cannot pronounce that character's name.
I can't remember any of these people's
I
names
can
to save my
them,
life, and honestly, I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
say Artemis, but that's a DC character.
It's Artemisia or something. Artemisia.
So you mentioned you get an Aquaman vibes. So I want to talk about the writer Kurt Johnstad, who had the rejected Aquaman script.
Yeah.
Other stuff.
God, imagine losing to the script they actually used.
He's got 5 credits.
Give them to me.
True Vengeance.
Never heard
300.
of it.
Act of Valor.
Right.
Rise of the Empire.
Maybe.
And Atomic Blonde.
Well, okay. Atomic Blonde, I don't believe is ever praised for its script. I think it was talked more about for their action. I'm going to look up Act of Valor while you guys talk.
I don't remember Atomic Blonde besides like the visuals. Like
I've never seen it.
I don't remember what I don't remember what it was about.
I'm pretty sure
like
Act of Valor was a war movie though.
Act of Valor got a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that I usually appeal to authority on that, but IMDb gave it a 6.5. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But it looks like a war movie. So I'm like, oh, okay, basic ass.
Yeah.
It's just, you can get away with a lot of stuff when it's action. Like, I mean, we even said it with the original 300. I think it gets a lot of passes because it was visually stunning and exciting and something kind of new.
I would actually, if anyone out there has tried to make this monstrosity, I would give it a watch because I want to see how coherent the story. Visually, it's going to be a mess, but if someone could have chopped and placed them together in one film.
Try and
the Snyder cut of 300.
That actually could be funny because I mean, you'd be surprised. You could probably cut out a lot of the Empire Rise of Empire stuff. You really probably could. Oh, you know what you do? You have them start to do that fight, the second naval fight before the explosions, and then just cut to them all celebrating that the ocean just destroyed all the navies.
Yeah.
There we go. We killed everyone.
Honestly, I thought that's what they were going to like lead into with that. Like the Navy
That's what
shit.
I thought it was too.
once I realized it was like running side by side, I was like, oh, so the Navy stuff is going to coincide with the Navy shit from that one, and that kind of helps the Spartans out. Nope. God, fuck me, I guess. Apparently, they were protecting the other border because they were trying to attack from the north and the south. And so I guess the Spartans were blocking the way from one end, and then that Navy was supposedly blocking the way from the other. They just didn't know they were both doing it to help each other.
So
That's
the
what
only
I
reason
gathered
that
from
those
it anyways.
ships survived that storm, because she even comments on it, it's just a Greek storm, is because she was at the helm of the fleet, is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Also got to throw this out here. She talks about how like they're all pissed off. It's like, well, why are you taking your orders from a Greek woman? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, honestly, that is a great question, because the black guy who gets kicked down the pit is talking shit about a woman speaking in her place. Well, apparently she rose to the rank of a fucking commander.
Yeah.
So it seems like his dialogue might be a little stupid.
Yeah.
Because he's not dead yet. You would imagine
this
that.
is why we don't like retcons, John.
This is really bad. Dude, it's really bad. Like, they recontextualize a lot of stuff, and it's really sad.
I guess they did incorporate some things from the Xerxes comic, because Frank Miller is credited.
Is he?
Yeah. Because, they called the Xerxes comic, so I guess there like different installments of the same
one didn't
storyline?
come out until 2018. That was 4 years after this.
Well, it's in the
you're
credits.
right. Is a 2018 historic inspired comic book that was he got inspired by this movie, I guess.
Oh goodness. It's guys, it's really bad. We got it for $2 on Amazon, and I'm fucking pissed off.
Rent or buy?
I spent $2 and I'm mad. Rented,
no,
sorry.
He worked with them while he was writing it. It wasn't published until 4 years after, but he had started writing it during the filming.
Did you guys at least like that they got the same actors to play the same characters again?
Yeah, I was kind of confused why the one-eyed guy was in the battle when he literally told him, "Hey, you have to survive to tell our story."
It was so weird. I go.
Well, he did.
Yeah,
he
why
did
is he
go
here?
and tell the story.
Yeah, but then he was right back into the battle.
Yeah,
that's supposed to
you'd
be
want
a year
to keep
later.
him around.
Technically, that battle was supposed to be a year later.
Was it? All right.
Still.
Yeah, because he said a year ago at the end of 300 anyways.
Here's another one.
This one, of course, I don't know the timelines in these movies now because of this film.
Well, I'll just say, thank God we brought back the character. I don't care. It didn't help anything. It didn't, it's not like all they did was lend their name. And
well, you had Xerxes,
for 1 second make
the
me
same
go,
guy played Xerxes. It didn't look
but he
like
looked
it,
different.
but
yeah, I just go, well, you brought him back and you made him look worse. So if anything, you make it worse.
I mean, it was 8 years of difference.
Honestly, I think if they would have done this as a graphic animation, I think this could have been better. And they could have done a little bit more and maybe done some extra takes and put a little more time into it. If they would have actually just done like a Beowulf type thing, or like something like animated crazy.
Yeah, this would actually be a really good series for someone to pick up to turn it into a TV series.
HBO Max, baby. Get Zack Snyder on it.
What annoys me about the ending is the Spartans didn't have that many ships.
Oh, I can't.
It's just me knowing my history. I'm like, that's not accurate.
Well, maybe they weren't all Spartan ships. Maybe they just
had
threw
the Spartan flag.
Yeah, but they could just flown this flag.
No, because what's her face was leading it.
I think they all
he
had
also
red
talks about
capes too.
Yeah, and he was talking about how he united Greece, and the Spartans were their own faction, and then the Athenians were already out there fighting, getting their ass kicked, and then oh my God, Lena Headey's character coming in and fighting. Oh my God, it's embarrassing.
Are you
Queen, she was fighting on the ship.
No,
she was sword fighting.
Before that, we have this dude beating the crap out of a woman.
I just
why are we are we having this guy and he doesn't hold back. He just stabs a bitch and just pulls
Yeah.
out and lets her bleed to death. I'm like,
Well, I told
you couldn't like
I told-
hug her or like be a little compassionate because you had your dick in there like 2 weeks ago, dude.
damn
Like,
you.
come on.
I told Hannah, I go, oh, it's funny. She stabbed him. And I go, he should have said, oh, the second time I've penetrated you. It was really
or
at
she
that
makes
point
that
with this film.
comment. She does make a comment. She says, "You fight harder than you fuck." He could have been like, "Well, how does that feel?" Like, do something. Give me some CSI jokes. Come on.
I was really at this point. I told Hannah, I go, I really can't expect anything at this point because it's so fucking terrible. I will tell people right now, just so I don't beat a dead Trojan horse. I gotta say, if
Wrong
you feel
decade.
the need, yeah, I know. If
yeah.
if you feel the need to see the second one, even because you still have hope that you'll like it, do yourself a favor and just buy the dual pack.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you have the original 300, if you even have the original 300, get yourself a backup copy in the Blu-ray bargain bin, double feature. Just get that, because you are going to be angry if you fucking pay good money for an individual copy of Rise of Vampire. It's fucking terrible. It's a terrible film. Honestly, like I would give it a 2.5 on anything. It's awful. It's really bad.
I
I'd
did
go
tell-
3, so I'm in the same ballpark.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to rate it because I was annoyed by it. It just ruined.
I hated it. It was making me mad.
It's really probably going to make me wait another like 10 years to watch the first one again, so I can forget this one.
See, what you got to do is just watch Meet the Spartans, and then it's all palate
We're
cleansed.
not watching that and talking about it, Tivis. Shut up.
Tivis, I'm not kidding. That came up twice. Me and Hannah brought it up. I go, this really feels like a parody of itself,
Yeah.
and it doesn't know it. That's the sad part, is it doesn't know it's parody.
I did tell Nick last night. I like the first one a lot more than this one.
Mhm.
She said she actually enjoys this one more. She said that the ship stuff and being able to see more of the villain side was a little cooler. I'm like, I don't need to know that. They're all gonna fucking die anyways. Who cares?
I mean, I guess you could say that about the first one. We knew the 300 guys died.
Yeah, and who cares? I just wanted to see the fighty.
I cared. I actually liked Leonidas and a couple of
Yeah, I do
characters.
too.
I liked a couple of the people.
It's surprising that I still remembered the name Leonidas way before I even went back to watch this. Like,
Mhm.
just because it's been so long. Like, I actually really like that character. I like the Spartan lifestyle. I wish,
Mhm.
more people were kind of like Spartans, but then we'd be called what? I don't know. We abusers, toxic
man.
masculinity, when we'd be praising our women more than anything.
Look, man.
Sorry,
If people
Tivis.
wanted
Tivis is just like, yeah, I'm not talking on that.
if somebody
I hit
wanted
my
an
hand
actual
again.
rating for if somebody wanted an actual rating for the first one, I'd probably give it like a 6. I think it's fun even if you don't like the storyline or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's visually kind of
Oh, you're
fun.
going out
It's a
of
little
10.
different.
I was going out of 5.
Oh, gotcha.
Boo.
I always do 10. It gives me a little more wiggle room. I would say probably like a 6,
Guys.
and I think that's both subjective and objectively for me, just because I like a lot of the actors. I love the soundtrack. I think it looks pretty good. The fight scenes are kind of fun. The gore is a little over the top, but I feel like they utilize it really well, and they pull back when they don't need it versus the second one. It just seems overtly gratuitous and nothing really comes from it.
Mhm.
Because like a good example would be for me, like in the first one, they had like the dead body tree
Yeah.
after
yeah, I
a
was gonna.
city's been burnt.
That was weird.
It seems crazy, but I'm like, I like the idea that they're making the Persians monsters. It's really
Yeah.
trying to motivate them, and you really are trying to put the audience
And-
on
and this-
the quote unquote good guy
Yeah.
side. And I think that's a good, strong element to do it.
And-
Make them as evil as possible.
In the second one, they tried to make you feel bad for the general, the female general. I'm like,
yeah, I don't care.
Like, you show me this, and because it's a little girl, you were instantly going to have an emotion about that, or a feeling, or a thought, or something. But it's like, but that's not what you're trying to portray this character as. You're not trying to portray them as abused or anything like that. Because, I mean, she gets hit by Xerxes, and it still goes off and does his bidding anyways. Like, she's not learning lessons. She's not changing. She's not turning into a good person at all.
Well, And especially, I think it flies in the face of what you tried to do when she got raped and used all the time, and then she's trying to use sex as a weapon, and people would go,
"Holy fuck!"
Well, people would go,
"No." So I said this to Nikki. I was like,
"Well, because there's two ways to look at it."
Okay,
because there's two ways, and let me put them both out and see what side you or Nick fall on. Because one, you could say you can use it in one of two ways. One, she's been abused sexually so much, she obviously doesn't see sex as like this important thing. So of course you can use it as a weapon. Why not? Be manipulative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. That's kind of what she was going to try and do. That's what gives her an edge up too, is that she's a female and men.
That's what she's trying to do, but by the end of that scene, she gets kind of upset about it.
Exactly. And the problem is it doesn't even seem like she's trying to manipulate him. She's like insulting him until they just like almost like hate fuck each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this flies in the face of what you were trying to do. And knowing her history, it feels a little tone deaf.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if she would have used it like in a normal way to like try and actually manipulate him or get him off, get him off. I think
that's what she was trying to do, John, but
it just felt like it was going back and forth. It didn't know what it was actually trying to do. It just wanted its sex scene. It didn't know why it was doing it. They just wanted it.
And it wasn't like a sex scene that you could watch and be like, oh, that's cool. And it's like
I mean, she looks good, I guess.
No, that's not even part
of it. And the main guy just looks
weird.
like a dope. A lot of these characters, like a lot of the actors look retarded too.
Well, I told Nick, I was like, well, they got actors that are more in shape in this movie than in the other one. In the first one, there's a lot of beer bellies just with paint on them. You can tell.
Yeah, but I think
every single time I just think of Meet the Spartans with the fat guy with the ass.
Yeah.
Well, and I gotta disagree. Hannah pointed out all the flabby dudes in the background.
Oh no, there were a lot of flabby dudes in this one too.
In the second one,
yeah. Well, the main character, when he goes onto the boat to talk to her, you can see his abs are painted on. If you watch that scene again, you can see it. I was like, I thought he was actually in shape.
But here, what I'm saying is that in the second one, I don't feel like they even tried.
Yeah.
They had the beer belly dudes in the first one, but at least they tried to make it look good.
Also,
and
those are
passable.
I guess you would say difference between Spartans and Athenians.
Yeah, and the normal ass people, I guess. Yeah. But you're looking in the background, it's like all these guys are in the war camp. It's like you got 3 or 4 like pot bellies that aren't working, and then you got all these dudes painted up, and it's like, why bother?
Yep.
If you don't need them to all look like these Adonises, then don't bother.
Yeah.
I just thought it was silly, and it just felt lazy and cheap. It feels like a parody of itself.
The guy looked like a lower grade version of Russell Crowe when he was in his day.
See, I was going to say Sam Worthington from Clash of the Titans.
No, Russell Crowe.
Or Avatar.
He looked more like a Russell Crowe from Gladiator, but not as good looking.
Yeah. Or would you say we were? Would you say we were not entertained? I was actually getting physically angry. Like I was like annoyed with this film watching it. It was mostly just because I'm at a point where I was out halfway through and I go, you got to be kidding me. There's like an hour left.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, with the sex scene too, like I told Nick, I was like, well, they just showed us that she got raped her entire life. Like
pretty much
like her childhood is like, then she's using sex as a weapon, or she's not using sex as a weapon. Cause by the end of it, she's kind of pissed off that she either didn't get her way or they didn't have. I don't understand that scene because it's not very well constructed to portray what they're trying to say, I guess. So
I just don't know what the point was. It just looked like they were hate fucking. It would have made like a little bit more of a, it could have been a little bit more funny if like they were actually like towards the end, she actually tried to kill him.
Right.
You know, like imagine like, right, we're about to finish and she like pulls a dagger on him and he catches it.
Was he supposed to be like an actual warrior? Like, was he?
I fucking don't know. I don't know anything about these people. I think so. I think he's a leader.
He killed the king and everything, but like they keep saying that, you know, we're all just, you know, we're not warriors. We're not this. She was a trained warrior. Like, how did she not kill him like almost instantly?
Well, and I mean, also, you know, good thing that first king decided to just stand there like an asshole and receive that arrow in his chest.
We probably also
There's just
didn't
a lot of
see
people
it.
just standing around, just not making good choices.
Well,
and it's
Xerxes
really
did the
silly.
same thing in the first one. Of course, they did slow-mo, I guess, in that.
Yeah, because you can say it went pretty quick and he probably didn't expect it. And like, it was a really good throw. You know, it's all that kind of stuff. Like, and at least they give you the idea of a surprise attack. The guy comes up, jumps.
Yeah.
I
makes
liked
him all
the
crazy
fake
and
out in the
throws.
first one too, where, you know,
Yeah, see, I
it
did
looks
too.
like he's surrendering.
This was just
Yeah.
a dickhead who walked up and shot one arrow. And then there was like a point where like that happened and he pulled up the bow and arrow again. It's like the fucking camera gave us a shot to show that there were like 4 or 5 other arrows on the ground.
Yeah.
Shoot those 2, idiot. Like,
Again, you have to also remember this might just be their iteration of the retelling of what happened at that point too. That guy could have been a lot closer. It could have been a completely different scenario because they try and make him seem like he's like almost like, you know, Achilles or some shit shooting the fucking arrow from the land to the boat like 5 boats away in the ocean.
He shouldn't have been there to begin with, but
yeah. The only thing I can think,
Tivis is
the
all
only
like,
way
history.
the only way I can think, the only way I could think somebody could legitimately like this, not like just like enjoy it, but think it's even remotely on par with the first one, would be if you've never seen the first one and watch this one first. It's the only way. But at that point, I go, I don't know what you get from this that would carry on to the second one that you were like happy that you got. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because all the characters that you like, you recognize don't really fucking do anything. They do fuck all.
Honestly, there was no need. Like the first one is perfectly fine. It's a nice, solid 1 movie story.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else because everything they do in this kind of does, like John said earlier, it undermines what the Spartans did in the first one. It's like they were there, they were doing what they needed to do. But now this movie's telling us, oh, well, if it wasn't for this group of random dudes in the ocean, like, you know,
who aren't even that impressive.
Right. Who not even that impressive. They're dying like super easily. Like it's like,
oh, but it's a naval battle. I'm like, I still think it's stupid. The reason why the Spartans were cool is because they had tiny, tiny numbers and did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Well, that was an inaccuracy. There was actually like 5,000 people with those other groups that joined in, but
you know, but I'm just talking about if you're going to sensationalize the story, maybe actually sensationalize it so you look like a badass rather than you're like, well, we were all right. I guess.
Also, don't do it.
You know what I
don't
mean?
do it as a side by side to the first movie, which undermines the entire movie.
Oh, it's so fucking silly. And
if this was like an actual sequel, and it was like about the battle of against the Persians with the Spartans and everyone else coming together from Greece. Or Greece. And then, or you could have done a prequel to, like how John said, it could have been cool to see the Persian Empire rising to power of them. I mean, we might not want to see them going slaughter villages all the time, but still.
I'll throw this out here. Imagine if we did something like the black guy who gets kicked down the pit. I can't remember his name, but the actor's been in a lot of other stuff. He was in Spartacus and shit like that, and he's really good. Like, he's a good actor. He looks good. Could obviously fight. I mean, imagine if we'd have followed him.
He doesn't have a name.
But imagine if we'd have followed him.
So
all the way up until he gets booted.
I got a question. Do you think that pit was actually that well we see in the second movie?
I think so.
I think it is.
I don't know.
Because what city just has a hole in the ground?
Or no, maybe it's where they put their dead? I don't know.
In the middle of town, though? Like, that would start to smell.
Look, you got, you know... I don't know.
But then again, I don't know why they would
deal with the smell of death.
Kick them down a well either, because then they're drinking waters.
Got to prove a point, I guess.
I don't think it was the well, because the well that she was at actually was like a well. That was just a giant.
Well, I know,
hole.
But I'm like,
it was like a hellmouth in their fucking city. Like
it's a what is it? It's a compost. It's a compost hole. That's what it is.
Oh, so it's their toilet.
So dead bodies are perfect.
Yeah.
For it.
Just throw some sage down there from time to time. Help the smell.
That's where they put all the old oracles once they get too old.
little Spartan Febreze.
Oh, you're 23? You gotta go in the hole. Sorry.
A lot of context there. But yeah, thanks for making me revisit a pretty decent action film and
I had fun.
be introduced to a piece of shit. Thanks a lot, guys.
And who was the director of the second one?
No, something like that.
Mur-o. We're gonna pronounce.
Please, please no more.
What did you guys think in the first film? I love this because I laughed. When the Persian tells the King Leonidas, he's like, "Our arrows will blot out the sun," and Leonidas says, "Then we'll fight in the shade." Then later, when it's happening, everyone starts laughing. I started laughing because I was like, "That's fucking hilarious." Because Fassbender's the one who's like, "You just had to say we'll fight in the shade."
Yeah. the only thing I just don't care about that is I'm like, man, just not even one person got hit. Come on.
I think
maybe one or two, like where they get hit.
Didn't they?
No, you don't see anybody anyway.
Well, I mean, they're
statistically, at least someone got one in the foot, at
the
least.
Spartan soldiers that put their shields up, their shields all protect each other. He does tell you that in the earlier.
They
No,
were kinda
that's fine. I
scattered,
totally
though.
get it. Yeah, I get it because they literally have to walk through like a field of arrows after it's done.
Yeah,
and I like the shot of him breaking all the fucking arrows off his shield and stuff. That's all, it's all good. But like I said, a couple of injuries and seeing them coming back from them could have been kind of cool. Like a dude gets like shot in the arm, and so like the next day he has to fight without a shield or something.
That's how that guy lost his eye.
Boom.
You know what? Like I'm saying, something like that could have been cool, but whatever. That one's a nitpick.
Whatever.
I get it.
Exactly.
I get
whatever.
But it's a cool scene.
All right, so I enjoyed the first one again, and the second one.
Definitely by the soundtrack. It's fucking tits.
If you are going to watch them both, I highly recommend back to back, or at least within a couple days of each other.
I watched them.
If you wait too long, the second
one
will lose the appeal.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it being 3D really kind of fucks with the aesthetic. The depth of field is really gross, and it's just it's
and the blood's
really ugly.
just like, I mean, the blood wasn't anything special in the first one, but in this one, it just looks like, a cutscene from a video game.
Well, and it's a lot more egregious too, and in your face, almost literally because of the 3D. And again, I can't get over it. Seriously, just pick a random scene, dude, on YouTube. Just pull one up of two people talking. Look at all the little floaty like orbs and debris just randomly floating in the scene. It was so distracting. It hurt my soul.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Not good. Not a good one. Not good stuff.
All right. Well, in that case, then I guess we're going to get going because Tivis has got to get going. We're done talking the 300 franchise. I appreciate you both for watching it. I appreciate the audience for tuning in again, I guess, if you're actually here.
I guess.
Subscribe to Patreon.
Subscribe to
Buy a
Patreon. Patreon.com/operationbabble, or go to our Teespring, I think it is, or TeePublic. All the links are in our descriptions to all the videos and the podcasts. And then find us on Twitter and Facebook at Operation Babble. And there's other links in our description too for everything else. And then operationbabble at outlook.com. John, do you have anything that you are wanting people to go to, find you at, anything like that?
No, just go watch Lord of the Rings. It's bad.
All right, cool. Tivis, anything you're doing? You just did some Patreon videos, so definitely check those out on Patreon.
Yeah, watch
guys.
me lose my mind.
And then you can find me just everywhere at Myke Shrews, MYKESHREWS. And for my quote of the day, I should probably pull it up over here because it is not on here, is from the first 300 film by Lena Headey, Queen Gorgo. It is not a question of what a Spartan citizen should do, nor a husband, nor a king. Instead, ask yourself, what should a free man do?
Seems poignant. All right.
Oh, yeah, Tivis, wait, John.
Oh.
Tivis.
Oh.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Awesome.
Oh, that made me feel good. Later, nerd.
Peace.
You just finished another great episode of Operation Babble. You can catch every episode of Operation Babble on all your audio streaming services, including SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, and more. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Operation Babble, and join the conversation today by searching for the Operation Babble group on Facebook. Links also in the description. Thanks and have a great day.